Happy feast, brethren. Instead of Papa Bomboy, some people prefer to call me Papa Barracks. In fact, it's so tough, it's tough. As I was coming, my wife had to tell me that, look, don't go with the king. That will drag it for me. Okay. I almost felt like asking Mr. Akimo to just continue with all the messages. I just skip my message. Anyway, forgive me for starting with something that we already know. And that is that life is not easy. Life is not easy. Life is hard. But how many of us realize that even though life is not easy, it's a good thing that life is not easy? It's a very good thing. The fact is that what we call the comfort zone, what we are used to, it's a nice place to be, but it's a dead zone. Nothing grows there. You can't improve in a comfort zone. For example, if we want to develop very intelligent brains, we have to put ourselves through tough mental exercises. If we want to have strong bodies with good immune systems, have a body that can lift weights, that can run far, that is strong, what do you have to do? You don't sleep all day long, or you don't live a soft life. You exercise yourself, you put your body through hardship, and that way your body is forced to develop to meet the hardship. So hardship is a good thing. Same way, if we want to develop God's character, we have to exercise too. We have to battle. We have to live a hard life of overcoming. Jesus Christ himself told us that the way that leads to life is not an easy way. It's not the way that everybody goes through, but the way that everybody wants to go through. An easy life, very comfortable. He said, can everyone at the back hear me? I was wondering why everyone looking at me so attentively. I didn't know that because I was not being heard at the back. Anyway, Jesus Christ said that the way that leads to life is going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. And that's just the way it is. And one of the things that makes the way that leads to life difficult is because that way is the way of overcoming. A lot of the fights we engage in as Christians has to do with fighting against sin. Now us, we all here, who are focused on being faithful to the calling that God has so graciously invited us into, know that when it comes to sin, for us, it's more of a big deal than it is to everyone out there. To us who are called and who strive to live righteously, strive to live by every word of God, sin comes in, and you can look at sin in two ways. One has to do with avoiding doing something, while the other one has to do with doing something. Sin has kind of two parts for us. For us, sin could be doing evil or not doing good. What is popularly called as the sin of commission or omission. That's what it is for us. So when we say overcoming sin, we mean pushing ourselves away from evil and pulling ourselves towards good. Now this is going to be a short Christian living sermon about an important strategy, a practical important strategy we can employ in becoming better overcomers. And I titled it the constraint strategy. The English is kind of big, but I will explain it. The constraint strategy. Constraint, C-O-N. My son likes to spell, so I'll spell on behalf of him and others who like to write that down. C-O-N-S-T-R-A-I-N-T. Constraint. The constraint strategy. Now we know that resisting the constant influence of this Satan-inspired world, as well as our own human weaknesses, can be a very, very daunting task. It makes life very, very strenuous. But is it possible that the approach we take to overcoming could sometimes make it harder for us to actually overcome? Is it that we are employing sometimes a weak strategy in fighting temptations? To illustrate, would you describe yourself as someone that has a lot of self-control? I suspect that we all like to say that about ourselves, and perhaps in some areas we can say that about ourselves. But in other areas, you notice that you seem to fail. One area, you exercise a lot of self-control. But the other area, it's like you have almost no self-control. For example, let's say we have a goal to be healthier. So we decided to stop drinking salt drinks because we heard that salt drinks have a way of messing up our system. And we are doing well. But when it comes to ice cream, it's a different matter entirely. We may resist for a day or two, but by the time we find ourselves in the supermarket, going by that, that aisle that is lined with a lot of beautiful freezers, it's like some packs of ice cream just keep on calling our names. And we just can't do anything. Before we know anything, we purchase maybe a 2-liter can and get home, and all we have is the empty can. So it's overcoming just a matter of self-control? Or is it that there's something more we can do apart from exercising self-control to help us become better overcomers? A lot of us have concluded that people who are good at resisting temptations are just very good at self-control. That is, they have a lot of what we call willpower, and they know how to use it. While people who don't do so well at resisting temptations, well, maybe they have weak self-control and need to work on that aspect of their lives. I do not dispute that. The need to have self-control is very real and it's very invaluable. We cannot do without it as Christians. We need it in our lives. There are elements we need to always fight against. We need to remove our lives because they are sinful or because of the effect they have upon our health, our career, or our relationships. We can't do all that. We can't keep all those things out without self-control. But there's another element, there's another thing in the struggle to resist and overcome that we should consider. Let us think of it in terms of restraint versus constraint. Restraint is the ability to exercise self-control, to check an impulse, to hold yourself back from doing something. Constraint, on the other hand, is a limitation or boundary you build into your life or that you put yourself into in advance so that you are kept from doing something. I want us to explore this a little further with research, real-life research, by doctoral, all those PhD guys. Now, this guy, Michael Inslicht, from the University of Toronto, is a psychologist, has been studying the subject of self-control and trying to determine why some people are better at it than others. While he did not approach his research from a Christian or religious perspective, his findings provide some food for thought for us as Christians. He noticed that when undergoing rigorous testing and brain twisters to test their powers of inhibition, that are powers to hold themselves back, people who claim to be rather self-controlled, this is the surprising part, people who claim to be self-controlled scored little different from those who felt they did not have self-control. That was not the result that the researchers expected. But another study published in the Journal of Personality and Psychology shed some light on why this is so. A study of 205 people who were tracked for a week discovered that those who said they were good at self-control reported far fewer temptations. In other words, they rarely had to use their willpower or self-control at all. So what can we learn from this? Another psychology, Brian Gala said, people who are good at self-control seem to be structuring their lives in a way to avoid having to make a self-controlled decision in the first place. They structure their lives in such a way that they don't even need to exercise their self-control in the first place. Now, another author, Brian Resnick, added, he said, and structuring your life is a skill. People who do the same activity, like running or meditating, at the same time each day, have an easier time accomplishing their goals. Not because of their willpower, but because the routine, that structure they are used to, makes it easier. So from all of this, it seems that a powerful tool to overcoming is to practice constraint. That is deliberately structuring our lives so that we eliminate or minimize our time around those things that tempt us. If we want to cut out ice cream, we have to avoid that ice cream aisle in the shopping mall. And we should try not to be looking so longingly at the freezers as we go by. It means thinking ahead and making concrete plans to avoid and overcome temptations. And of course, the Bible encourages us to think in this way. Several times in the book of Proverbs, Solomon spoke of this important technique. For example, let's go to Proverbs 22:3. The book of Proverbs, chapter 22, verse 3. Okay, book of Proverbs, chapter 22, verse 3. If you are there, I'll read. A prudent man foresees evil, he sees it afar off, and hides himself. But what happens? The simple pass on and are what? They fall into it, they are punished. He said almost the same thing, almost the same words in Proverbs 27, verse 12. I want to understand, it's almost the same thing. Now let's go to Proverbs 19:21. Proverbs 19:21. Okay, we should be there. So it reads, plans, no plans are doing something before the time. In summary, that's what a plan is. Plans are established by advice and by wise guidance to wage war. This is talking about the importance of strategizing before you go and wage war. Before you meet a battle, when you strategize properly, wisely, your chances of success are greater. Now, Solomon understood the importance of looking ahead and making plans to avoid the temptations of sin that will come his way. Unfortunately, he was not very good at taking his own medicine. If you look at the way Solomon structured his life, he knew the right thing to do, but he did not really structure his life in such a way that he avoided his weakest temptation, which was women. He did not structure his life. Rather, he allowed himself to be in the midst of the temptations that brought him down. Same way, everyone's life is full of potential traps. Our lives are full of temptations, sins. We each probably know our own personal weaknesses, and we know we have to overcome them for the sake of health and for the sake of righteousness that is demanded of us as we walk towards the kingdom of God. We want to have more self-control, and we pray that God will give us more. But do we also take active steps to hide ourselves and guide our minds as well from temptation? Do we take active steps? Do we structure our life in such a way that we shield ourselves, we hide ourselves away from these things? Do we take active steps to expose ourselves, on the other hand, and engage in things that will inspire us to live God's way of life? This is the kind of structure, the kind of constraint we're talking about. Now, to do so may require a big change in our lives. An alcoholic, someone who is prone to alcohol, getting drunk, over-drinking, may need to drive another way home or walk another way home when going past the popular joint, that's a special joint he has to go to. And when getting home, he might need to pour out all the drinks, all the alcoholic drinks, just so that he's putting himself in an environment, he's constraining himself, putting himself in boundaries that prevent him or keep him from falling to that temptation. Those like me who tend to overeat may deliberately decide that anytime you take a mouthful, you take one glass of water. So by the time I take 5 mouthfuls, my stomach is already full. I've constrained myself. Because of that habit, because of that structure, I see that I cannot overeat anymore. It may require a change in the people with whom we socialize. If our current friends are involved with sinful or harmful practices, that association alone will pressure us to become involved also. It is much easier to say no to an illicit relationship if you don't allow yourself to get into it in the first place. So, in essence, I said the speech sermon will be very short. In essence, where does this leave us? Now, this does not negate or remove the need to exercise self-control, but it rather gives us another powerful tool to use in our efforts to overcome. The Bible encourages us to examine ourselves looking for sin and focusing on the need to repent and change. You can see that in Lamentations 3:40. Lamentations 3:40. As Lamentations chapter 3 verse 40. It says, let us search out and examine our ways and turn back to the Lord. A similar instruction is seen in another Bible passage which we heard earlier in the first split sermon, and that's 2 Corinthians 13:5. 2 Corinthians 13:5. Okay, if you are there, read. Examine yourself as to whether you are in the faith. Test yourselves. Do you not know yourselves that Christ is in you, unless indeed you are disqualified? So as we go through the process of looking for sin and focusing on the need to repent and change, we will be wise to consider restructuring our lives in such a way that we practice constraint as well as restraint. We will say that one of the best ways to avoid being drawn into temptation is to stay clear of the temptation in the first place. Similarly, the best way to accomplish good is to deliberately expose and immerse ourselves in good things. It's all about structuring our lives to avoid something, to expose ourselves to another thing. Paul instructed Timothy in both his first and second letters to him. Let's go to the first letter of Paul to Timothy. That's 1 Timothy 6. I'll read verse 11 and 12. 1 Timothy 6, verse 11 and 12. When Mr. Akim will stop staffing this, there are no people are there. In 1 Timothy 6, 11 and 12. Okay. But you, O man of God, flee these things. Flee these things and pursue righteousness, godliness, faith, love, patience, gentleness. We are seeing that structure. Let's go to 2 Timothy 2, verse 22 and 23. Okay. Verse 22. Flee also youthful lust, but pursue righteousness, faith, love, peace, with those who call on the Lord out of a pure heart. 23. But avoid foolish and ignorant disputes. Why? Knowing that they generate strife. Or rather, they lead to strife. They tempt us, they drag us towards that direction. So in conclusion, to better overcome sin, we need to increasingly practice constraint. That is deliberately structuring our lives so we eliminate or minimize our exposure or time around those things that tempt us. At the same time, we purposefully structure and arrange our lives to maximize our exposure to good things that draw us to God. We must think ahead all the time and make concrete plans to avoid evil and pursue righteousness. By doing this, God's power within us will be stirred up mightily, releasing great power to perform all what God wants us to do. I know we all remember our Lord's Prayer. What's popularly called our Lord's Prayer. A part of it says, and do what? And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. What about we ourselves? Do we sometimes lead ourselves into temptation? So we also must do our part not to lead ourselves into temptation. And we'll be surprised at how much our self-control will just blossom and help us better able to overcome and fight this temptation. Yes, life is hard. Life is very hard because we always have to fight to overcome. Even in making plans to overcome, it's not easy. There are a lot of other distractions. Life is hard. But if we think ahead, if we settle it in our minds to make concrete plans, to constrain ourselves for success, then I believe that the battle, even though it's hard, it will be won. We'll see that as we continue to do our own part, by putting ourselves within boundaries, by keeping ourselves, shielding ourselves away from temptations, and exposing ourselves to things that will inspire us unto righteousness, God's Spirit within us will be stirred up, and we unleash the great power that we all need to accomplish the great things that God has planned for us, not only in this life, but in life to come. Happy feast, brethren.
Thank you.